All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. So, the band Journey, they continue with their current vocalist, and there's been a lot of talk in the past, I don't know, few months since Journey rebooted, and they've had various musicians in their lineup, some who we thought were going to be there, and others who we didn't know would be there. Um, it's been a little bit weird, but their lead singer is still their lead singer. And some people love Arnell, even now. They're convinced that Arnell is the right man for the job. New Year's Eve, obviously, there was a difference of opinion based on who you spoke with. I heard some people say, amazing. These guys put this together. Very difficult circumstances with all of that sort of depression going on in New York City, and having about 6 minutes to perform a medley of 3 songs in very cold weather. That was a live vocal track as well. I will attest to that. If I'm wrong, it's crazy because you could hear certain things that were only going to be apparent in a live vocal track like that. The 3-song medley was a good idea. That's all they had time to do for whatever reason. Neil Sean made the point, and it's a good point, that 50 million people saw their performance. So again, like I said in the first video I did about the situation, that was a big get to be able to play New Year's Eve. But see, I'm of the belief that if you're going to honor the legacy of Steve Perry, because you have to, and I think Arnell would tell you, you have to, because he's the reason this band is still. It's like Steve Perry was on the Journey train, and he got thrown off the train in 1998, or he jumped off, however you want to look at that. And that train's trajectory kept going. And they can put somebody, as the new, I don't know, guy in the front car, right? They can put somebody in there, but that momentum continues because of what Steve Perry did. And if they put somebody pretty decent in that front car, that train is going to run fairly smoothly. But he's chugging along on the back of the man who many call the Voice. Even though Rolling Stone does not have Steve Perry in their top 10 singers of all time, I do think they have Sam Cooke at like number 2 or something. So, I guess guilt by association, Perry should be a little bit higher since he borrowed a bit from Sam Cooke. Now, I think the band could use a bit of a kickstart at this point. I think Arnell has served them really well. And I think he would probably enjoy some time with his family, or he could embark on a solo career. Or if he wants, he could go sing for the band Chicago right now. I've suggested that. I think that would give them a little shot in the arm, since they've got some lead vocal problems. Maybe not as dramatic, because I think the vocals are okay. I think it's just the presentation which is a little bit off. And I think if you had a dynamic frontman who wasn't under this pressure to try to be Steve Perry, because, yeah, is Peter Cetera difficult? Yes. But Steve Perry is more difficult than Peter Cetera. So those are just some random thoughts I throw out there. This Brazilian singer, okay, that I've been paying attention to now for a few years, his name is Guy Oliver, Guioliver. He's been in several really cool bands, and being that he's in Brazil, he's not really getting the time of day here in the United States, but he's a big deal in Brazil. Last year, actually 2020 now, because this is 2022, I talked about this album, and it finished really high in my top 20. This is Landfall, and it's called The Turning Point. And again, if you like what Journey was, say, right after Steve Augeri joined, And there's this period of time where they had a certain sound, like Arrival, Generations. This is right in that wheelhouse. And prior to that, he was in this other band called Auras. This is Guy Oliver again. And this thing, this thing could have been recorded in 1990. This has got all the markings of a classic Journey album. This one's called New Generation, not to be confused with Generations. See, I mean, the titles and sort of the references to Journey, but Guy can bring it. He can sing. His voice has got that Steve Perry, Kevin Chalfant quality to it, where it's right in the best place to sing Journey material. Now, why do I suggest this man instead of, say, oh, I don't know, pick a Journey tribute band lead vocalist? Now, all those guys who do the Journey tribute stuff, they do a great job. I know for a fact that Neil Schon doesn't want a vaudeville character. He doesn't want a guy who's going to show up with the Steve Perry wig and the tails and try to hold the microphone like Steve and kind of walk around like Steve did 1981 in Houston kind of thing. That's not what Neil wants. Neil wants somebody who can bring the vocal, but who can also kind of just not be a cartoon of Steve Perry and get out there and also make sure that you can sing all of this difficult material that Steve Perry used to sing. And I think that's a big deal. I think you need to do both. And I think Arnell did that for a very long time. I think this guy, Guy Oliver, could extend the band's reach as well. As I know, being from Brazil, there is a huge group of melodic rock fans down in South America. And I think that would be a tour for the band to embark on down there, and they would make a ton of money and they would make a lot of people happy, and they'd have a hometown hero. And a guy who, quite honestly, has recorded music that's right in the perfect spot where he could say, look, I already know how to do this. I can almost guarantee you he's probably performed a whole bunch of Journey songs in his lifetime. He even had another project from last year, which I'm going to have to go and check out, but he recorded another album with Frontiers, a different band name. It's called Mayank. That's Mayank. Doesn't kind of roll off the tongue, but maybe there's a different pronunciation that I'm completely missing. But that was more melodic rock stuff that Journey could have recorded themselves. And I think he would be an ideal replacement or a new singer who could move the band forward. Now, you know, I've had these suggestions in the past. I've said so-and-so should join Journey, and this guy would be perfect for Journey. And a lot of these Journey tribute bands, I think maybe they could all probably step in and do the job. The problem is, from what I understand, they don't want the cartoon character. What they want is somebody who's just going to sing really well, be a great front man. I know in this case, this gentleman, I think, writes songs. So I think that would be important too, to have another songwriter in the team. You had Perry in the old days with both, you know, Kane and Sean, and you haven't really had that dynamic for quite some time. I know Steve Augeri wrote songs. I know Jeff Scott Soto can write songs, but they haven't had a songwriter as a lead singer for quite some time. And, you know, the burden kind of falls on both Kane and Sean to be a songwriting team, where in the old days they had Perry, who they could bounce ideas off of. And I think that's important when it comes to just making really great music, to have a bigger team of people devoted to it. So it's just an idea. It's just a suggestion. It's somebody for Journey fans too to check out. If anything, if this goes nowhere and it's just, hey, check out this guy, Guy Oliver, because he's really, really good. He's in another project that just came out, which I'm not too nutty about, because it's that doom theatrical style where it's just a bunch of thumping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, and it's not my favorite style. But again, his voice is so good that they use him. I think the project's called Nason or Nason. I don't know. I'm mispronouncing a lot of stuff here, but you can check it out courtesy of Frontiers Music. It just came out, I think, not too long ago. And I'm going to have to go back and listen to that Mayank thing I told you about. Hard to pronounce, but it sounds like another winning project. If you want to check out Auras, this would be a must get if you like Journey. The album's called New Generation. I picked this up for $9 on eBay. And of course you can stream it. This is on Spotify and the usual places. And then from last year, or actually 2020, like I said, this is Landfall. This was in my melodic rock top 10. It deserved to be because it's really well done. The more you listen to this, the more you're going to like it. So again, not direct as much as Auras is, sounding like Journey, but still a really great melodic rock record for sure. So that's my video. Thanks for supporting the channel, for subscribing. We got some new patrons, and we also had some big increases from some folks that have been here for a while, noting that we had a little bit of a collapse right around New Year's Day with support. But that's okay. We have a new year here, and we'll just keep working on it. And for those of you who are here, who have been loyal and devoted, just thanks again. And I'll talk to you all really soon.